Hello, thank you for watching my channel today. My name is Sarah and my channel is called Your Tree Shelf. Today I'm decided to film a pile of possibilities for autumn. I have taken off a lot of books off my book trolley, which I made a video about reorganising that a few months ago, and I had lots of books I wanted to read over the summer, and now I've taken those ones down and I'm swapping them for the ones that I'm about to tell you about. So I've got some books which are coming in from the library, which I'm really excited about. So the first one of these is called Fayne by Anne-Marie Macdonald. I can't remember where I saw this, but I saw this, I think, on someone's anticipated releases video, and I ordered it in from the library, and I'm really excited about it because it's coming in at the perfect time of year. It's a big book, it's about 750 pages. I did flick through it in Waterstones recently, and it's not like a densely packed text, so it looks like there's quite a lot of borders around the pages. The font didn't look too small, so I don't think it's going to be like a really long read, but it's a historical book set in a castle in Scotland, which really gives me those kind of cozy autumn vibes. It's about a lord who is quite sort of reclusive and eccentric, and he has a young daughter called Charlotte, and Charlotte is transgender, but this is back in a few hundred years ago, and she's very constricted within the boundaries of society, and it's about their story together, which I think sounds very interesting. The other book that I've got waiting for me at the library is one that I heard Charlie Book talk about a lot and how much she loved it, and she really inspired me to pick this book up, and this is Small Joys by Elvin Mensah, and this is, I believe, about a young man called Harley who is doing music journalism, I think, at university, and his dad thinks that he's doing a different degree, like a more academic degree, and he lives with a flatmate, and I think his flatmate walks in on him trying to kill himself, and it's about how their friendship, I think, sort of saves Harley. And I just remember Charlie talking about this with a lot of like joy, and how much she loved one of the main characters, the boy's friend, who I think is called Muddy, and she really made me want to read it, so that's waiting for me at the library. So I'm super excited for those two books, and I've also got to read next Caleb Azumah Nelson's book Small Worlds, because that's come into the library, and well, I've actually picked that one up already, and that's got to go back in a few days, so I've got to read that one next. I'm just finishing my last book of Shorty September. So upcoming we have Victober, and I am just going to read, I normally just read one book for Victober because I don't like reading lots of books that are similar to each other, and so I am just going to read this one book for Victober, which I'm buddy reading with my lovely friend Jo Smith, and this is Far From the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. So Jo and I read Tess of the D'Urbervilles, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before now, and I absolutely loved that book, and so this is my second Thomas Hardy, I think. I saw the film of this at the cinema, the one with Carey Mulligan, which I really enjoyed, but I can't really remember much about the plot. So I'm going in not feeling like I know very much about it. It looks massive, this book, because they have such big introductions and notes in them, but it's only 350 pages. So I'm really, really looking forward to reading this one. And then after that, so I just picked off my shelf. I just picked a whole selection of books, which I'm going to put on my trolley, and I'll just show you what I've picked. I think the general theme for autumn is kind of coziness, historical, not too difficult to read books necessarily. So yeah, I'll show you what I've picked. So the first book has been quite well known online, and this will fit one of my goals for my reading goals left for the rest of the year, because it's one of my favourite booktubers' favourite books of last year, and this is The Binding by Bridget Collins, which was one of Ruby Granger's favourite books. So this is a beautiful book in its own right. It looks very autumn like, This is about a boy called Emmett who binds books, and within the books he binds people's secrets, and he comes across a book which has his own name on it whilst he's in the process of binding up other people's secrets. So I think this is quite gothic, and really looking forward to reading that book. Then I've picked a classic, which it doesn't fall into Victober, unfortunately. It's just outside that. But it's one that I've never read, and I feel like everybody has read this apart from me. I hate this edition, but this is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So I picked this up in a charity shop, and the front cover is horrible. So if I really love it and I want to keep it, then I'm going to have to at some point change it to a different edition, because it's just gross. I don't know, it's just this like crumbly old man's face. It's really disgusting. So Frankenstein is the next one I have on my pile. The next one is the start of quite a long series, I believe, and this is called Just One Damn Thing After Another by Jodi Taylor. This is the St Mary's Chronicles is the series. Jodi Taylor wrote a book called The Nothing Girl, which I absolutely loved a couple of years ago, and I haven't yet read the sequel to because I'm kind of saving it. And so I was interested in what else she wrote, and I found this, in a charity shop. This is the first one in the series. So this says, when Madeline Maxwell is recruited by the St Mary's Institute of Historical Research, she discovers the historians there don't just study the past, they revisit it. But one wrong move and history will fight back to the death. And Max soon discovers it's not just history she's fighting. Follow the tea-soaked disaster magnets of St Mary's as they rattle around history, because wherever the historians go, chaos is sure to follow. So I love time travel in books, and I think this is going to be like a kind of cosy time travel fantasy set in a school or a university, which I also really like. I was going to try and put these into categories, but actually I'm just going to go with the order they're in, because they're in piles everywhere, so I'm just going to go with this order. The next one I have is, I'm not sure if this is autumnal or not, but this is The 100 Years of Lenni and Margot by Marianne Cronin, which my friend gave me. I keep hearing nice comments about this book, and so I thought it would be one to give a try for autumn. It's about two people at opposite ends of life. So we've got Lenni, who is 17, and she is having some sort of life-limiting illness, I believe. She joins an art class and she bumps into another patient called Margot, who's 83, and between them they've lived 100 years, and they start painting stories of their lives in the art class and form a really lovely bond. So that sounds very nice, also sad. Whoops. The first pile has fallen over. I have a non-fiction book which looks really pretty and lovely, and I've had for ages and haven't read, which I feel really bad about. And this is The Little Book of Hygge, The Danish Way to Live Well by Meik, Wiking. From the Happiness Research Institute in Copenhagen. So I read the book A Year of Living Danishly a few years ago, which is telling us about what it's like to live in Denmark, which is supposed to be the happiest place to live in the world. And Hygge is a Danish thing about all cozying down for the long winters and autumns. And this has got like a lot of really lovely pictures in the book. The ones which there's some pages with text, but also accompanied by pictures again. And there's some quotes, and it just looks like, this is a nice one. It just looks really cozy and lovely, and I'm sure it'll give me some nice inspiration for ideas for sort of relaxing and having my coziest autumn life. The next book I bought a couple of years ago, I think, and haven't read it yet, but this is definitely a good time of year to read this book. So this is House of Hollow by Krystal Sutherland. This is about the Hollow sisters who disappeared when they were children, reappearing a month later with no memory of what had happened to them, but eerie occurrences follow in their wake. The oldest child goes missing again, and the youngest two are left to figure out the mystery, but they aren't the only ones who are looking for her. So yeah, it's a kind of supernatural fantasy. So with a very beautiful cover. The next fantasy, I've heard that the writing isn't great in the first book. This is another start of another series, but I bought this when I started watching the TV show. So this is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. It's a YA fantasy. The series on Netflix is really, really good. So we've watched season 1 and season 2, which is as much as has been filmed at the moment. And I went and bought the book when I loved the first series. So I know what happens in the TV show. I don't know how closely that sticks to the books, but I have heard that the writing gets better as the series goes on. But it's such a gorgeous cover again. Like this marbled deer is absolutely lovely. So I thought, again, very seasonally apt. The next one is a little bit wintry, but it just looks so cute. And this is a middle grade book. I've got three middle grade books on this list. So this is The Good Bear by Sarah Lean, illustrated by Fiona Woodcock. This says it's the school holidays and Thea is looking forward to finally spending time with her father. But when Thea arrives in snowy Norway, everything feels wrong. Her father is distant and now she has to share him with his new family. Then Thea makes an astonishing discovery. Deep in the woods by the house is a bear. He's scared and hungry and desperately needs her help. Thea must prove to everyone that he's not dangerous. He's a good bear if she's to save him. How lovely does that look? Comforting. The next middle grade book I have is the next book in the Pages & Co series, which is the Tilly and the Book Wanderers series by Anna James. This is a series about Tilly and her best friend who can book wander. So book wandering is either where the characters from a book can come out and spend time with you, or you can go into a book and insert yourself into the plot, but things can happen to you while you're there. So for instance, if you put yourself on a pirate ship, you may get thrown into the sea or you may die. So it's not like you go in and observe as a fly on the wall. You actually go in and take part in the story. And this is I'm just looking on my shelf, fourth. This is the fourth one in the series, and I've also got the fifth one in the series sitting on my shelf. They're very beautiful and they always have lovely covers. So let's have a look. Yeah, see, they always have gorgeous covers underneath, and I wish that all adult hardbacks had the same, because they don't. So this is beautiful. My last middle grade is a throwback from my TBR from last autumn, and this is Pax by Sara Pennypacker. And this is about a story of a little boy and his fox. So Peter is the little boy. Pax is a fox cub that he rescued when he was a cub, because I just said that. And Peter is forced by his dad to return his fox to the wild. They're basically, it's the story of them being separated and longing for each other. And I really hope it has a happy ending, because it's a children's story, because it sounds like it's going to be really sad otherwise. So that's all of the middle grade I have. Then I have a book that was lent to me, which again I really want to read, and this is the Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams. I've heard some really lovely things about this book, and this is about a young girl called Esme who is motherless and irrepressibly curious, and her father and his team are making the first Oxford English dictionary, and she sees a forgotten word drop to the floor one day. And she collects other words for another secret dictionary called the Dictionary of Lost Words. And it's about the start of World War I and women's suffrage as well, and her trying to make sense of the future. I'm really, really excited to read this one. I have a non-fiction in the form of All Creatures Great and Small by James Herriot, which is the first volume of his memoirs. So James Herriot was a British vet, and he wrote a series of memoirs about what it was like to be a vet in the countryside in Yorkshire in the 1930s, and this is his first one. This was adapted to a TV series which I started watching, and then it got taken off like catch up, so I never got to finish it, so I'll have to check if it's accessible now, because I was really enjoying it. But yeah, this is quite heartwarming, and I'm sure, I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure this is quite heartwarming because the TV series was. The next one has sunshine in the title, but it's got a snowy front cover. I added this to my book trolley in the summer thinking it was a summer book, but actually it looks like it's a wintry book. This is Walking on Sunshine by Giovanna Fletcher, who is a TV personality and lovely person in the UK. She always writes very kind of feel-good books, and definitely all about the feel-good books. And this says, on waking up, before I even open my eyes, a glimmer of excitement flutters within me. There is something ahead of me, not the future I wanted or hoped for, but plans. For the first time in months, instead of the dread that has embedded itself into every fibre of my being, there is something else: optimism, hope and chance. One that's been on my TBR for a million years, which is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I really want to read this. Why it's taken me so long to pick it up, I do not know, because I'm really excited to read it. I have read The Secret History. I haven't read anything else by Donna Tartt. I have watched the film of this, which I really enjoyed, and so I very much want to read it. An author who I desperately want to read more by is Sarah Waters. So I've only read The Night Watch, which I absolutely loved and gave 5 stars. I've got more Sarah Waters books. This one appeals the most at the moment, and this is The Paying Guests. So I know this is about a guest house. So 1922, South London. There's a widow, Mrs. Ray, and her discontented daughter who are obliged to take in lodgers. Lillian and Leonard Barber, a modern young couple of the Clark class, bring with them gramophone music, colour, fun and dangerous desires. The most ordinary lives can explode into passion and drama. A love story that is also a crime story. This is vintage Sarah Waters. Yes, so another big chunky book. But I'm really excited now that I've just, on my last shorty for Shorty September, I'm really excited to get into some long stories again, because I think that for me personally, longer books work better for me than shorties, but shorties are a great way to get your TBR down. Then we have a slightly odd book, I think, which I've never read this author before, but this is White is for Witching by Helen Oyeyemi. This book, I'm just gonna hold it here for a second because the blurb is on the end papers. So, in a vast mysterious house on the cliffs near Dover, the Silver family is reeling from the hole punched into its heart. Lily is gone, and her twins Miranda and Elliot and her husband Luke mourn her absence with unspoken intensity. All is not well with the house either, which creaks and grumbles and malignly confuses visitors in its mazy rooms, forcing winter apples in the garden when the branches should be bare. Generations of women inhabit its walls, and Miranda, with her new appetite for chalk and her keen sense for spirits, is more attuned to them than she is to her brother and father. She's leaving them slowly, slipping away from them, and one night she vanishes entirely, and the survivors are left to take her story. See, it sounds kind of strange. It's not very long, but I'm intrigued. I then have a book which I'm really not sure if this is going to be for me or not, but it's a book that somebody was kind enough to give me, and so if I don't like it, it hasn't cost me anything. And this is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. So this has been so popular, and I think Richard Osman is a great guy. I really like him. I find him very funny. This is cozy crime. I don't like normal crime, but cozy crime may be different. I've only really read a tiny bit of cozy crime before. So anyway, this is another one I'm adding to the list. And then the final one that I have, I'm not really sure what makes me think this is autumnal, but I just picked it up because it's quite long and I just fancied picking it up. So this is The Cider House Rules by John Irving. I saw Natalie from Natalie Murray read this book quite a while ago, and she really liked it, and she made me want to pick it up because it had been on my shelves for a really long time. I know it's a kind of a modern classic. When was it written? It was written in 1985. The main character is called Homer Wells. He's the oldest unadopted offspring at St Cloud's orphanage, and he learns about the skills which in one way or another help young and not so young women from Wilbur Larch, the orphanage's founder, a man of rare compassion with an addiction to ether. Dr. Larch loves all his orphans, especially Homer. It's Homer's story we follow from his early apprenticeship in the orphanage surgery to his adult life running a cider-making factory and his strange relationship with the wife of his closest friend. We shall see. So I think that's everything that I've got on my pile of possibilities. There are other things to tell you about. So I am going to see the play of Hamlet in the beginning of November, and so I'm going to read Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell ASAP as well. I am reading for next month's book club. We're reading Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer, which I'm a bit scared about because it's a book about dying of cancer. I know that lots of people love it on BookTube, but I'm scared it's going to be really, really sad. So I had avoided that one when it was on the booker list last year. So the other buddy read that I have planned is Boy Swallows Universe by Trent Dalton, which I've wanted to read for a really long time, and I'm buddy reading that with Nikki from Red Dot Reads. We are, I think, buddy reading that in autumn. I've said autumn so many times. In November. So I've got some library books and my couple of buddy reads and Hamlet that I need to prioritise as well. So there's lots of choice here. I'm not going to get through all of these books in autumn, but it's really nice just to have some that I'm prioritising and putting on my book trolley so that I can choose them. And I've also stopped ordering library books. So I went through this kind of crazy phase of ordering tons of library books, not because some of them was because I thought they might be on their booker list, and a lot of them weren't, and then I thought, well, actually I don't probably want to read some of these, so I cancelled off some reservations. A couple of them I took back without reading, and I have just got now Fayne and Small Joys, which I'm really excited for both of those, and there's nothing else on order, which is really nice because sometimes it's great to watch people's sort of anticipated releases books or look at what's just come out in the bookshops and stuff and place loads of orders, but then sometimes I just want to read what I've already got as well. It may be that I managed to get through some more of my TBR now that I've stopped ordering lots of library books. But anyhow, I'm going to wrap this up now because it's quite long. So thank you for watching if you made it this far. I'm just going to finish off my cold probably now cup of tea, and I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.